There's usually a lot of neglect and abuse in the home. And neglect and abuse make a child vulnerable to traffickers. So maybe they have a mom or a dad who is checked out. Maybe they have a mom or a dad who is addicted to drugs who isn't paying attention to them. And if a trafficker pays attention to you, then that is one way that they can reel you in. So a lot of these kids and young women who become young women or young men who are trafficked are in the system. There is a huge problem with children being trafficked who are in the foster care system and in group homes around the country. That's another vulnerability, and pimps know that kids in group homes are vulnerable, so they specifically target them.
Children under the age of 18, juveniles, run away or leave home early before they're adults because of abuse. So in most cases, the only thing they're trying to do is not be abused. So initially, I think there isn't a lot of times there isn't abuse to begin with. And that's the reason that they befriend, a lot of them, they get befriended by people who intend to take advantage and abuse them, but they develop a bond with them first.
My relationship with my parents was good until my trafficker started isolating me from them.
Every time there is a party or there is a dinner at your Boston, every time I am the butt of your joke. You think it's funny, I'm offended, and you don't care. I didn't laugh. I'm your wife. I'm the one you should be worried about. But you don't care. It's all about what you can get done.
Stop. We'll deal with this in a minute.
My daily routine at home was chaotic. There was never a set schedule. It was all over the place. I would usually start my day by getting high to numb out the pain.
A pimp ends up becoming like a family member to these girls and to these young boys. And so in the mind of a child, the pimp provides everything they need. It's kind of like a parent-child relationship, but very twisted.
I think the trust is what was able to pull me into the trafficking. Having this trust in this man and knowing that I could count on him, and he felt like my protector. He felt like somebody I could really rely on, and he used that against me. The moment I started to realize things were wrong was when drugs began to get involved.
I hate to make the parallel, but it's an obvious one. In my mind, probably the number one issue seems to be drugs, and usually hard drugs. It seems like heroin and cocaine and some of the harder drugs that you would see oftentimes are used as a lure to get kids to come into that kind of lifestyle. And many of them have probably dabbled in drugs and have been put themselves in certain situations where they're around people who are sex traffickers. And as a result of that, it's kind of like opening the door.
He made things so normal so slowly that it was hard to pinpoint a time when something was wrong. But I would continue to get these heart checks. Something told me that, this isn't right, this isn't you, this isn't what you were made for. And so it was in those moments when I would try to talk back or say, no, I'm not doing that, or, we can't do this to this girl. And in those moments is when I would either get hit or have a gun to my head.
There is a process called being broken in or being turned out. And that process is so horrible and devastating that after the breaking in process, which could be a beating, it could be a group rape type of situation. It could be where the child is deprived of food. If they have a child themselves, they're not allowed to see their child or their family. So that process is so horrific that once that happens, the child will do whatever the pimp says. They feel completely in bondage and they feel worthless. They believe whatever the pimp says about them, whatever the pimp says they are or they are worth, that's what the child believes.
The stuff we see normally is the trafficking idea. It used to be with online service providers, people that would provide some type of service to the adult community trying to sell the services of girls that work for them. And it's almost always hotel driven. And in fact, some of these sex traffickers will rent a room in a really nice hotel. And then they'll put their girls in a hotel, maybe for 2 or 3 nights, and post ads in all different places. And they still do this, even though they shut down. Probably the most notorious site was Backpage. And even Craigslist had, for a while, ads soliciting sex. So I think a lot of those clients have gone underground, but the problem is they're still there. I think there will always be websites that are underground that it takes a while to find out where they're at, but people that are persistent and want that kind of activity are going to find that. And as long as there's a demand for those services, I think there will always be somebody willing to take whatever risk it is to provide it.
So there was a pimp a while back, a few years back, that came out of the life, and he gave a presentation to a group of people. And he said that the first thing that he rapes is a victim's mind. So I would say that the most challenging thing that these victims are facing is recovery mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. So the girls have no self-worth at all. mentally they really, really struggle. They have a lot to overcome. The trauma is so deeply rooted and so deeply seated into who they are, it's almost impossible for them to recover, to be quite honest. These kids have a fight in front of them, and without support, without people coming alongside of them and saying, we will fight with you and we will fight for you, they will be lost. And so, you know, they really have to have this want to, this desire, this fight internally to get better, this fight internally that says, no matter what thoughts I have, I'm going to stand, and I'm not going to go back to my pimp. I'm not going to go back to the life. I am better than that. I am more than what they said I am. I am more than what they showed me. And it really is this lifelong fight that they have.
We have an important news update. The Desert Valley Sheriff's Office is asking for your help in locating a 16-year-old girl. Hope Christianson was last seen on September 17th near Scottsdale, leaving her home with a friend from school. Her parents say she told them she was going to the library to study with friends, but they haven't heard from her since. Hope has now been missing for over a week. She was last seen heading north in a black Kia Soul. She is 5 feet 3 inches tall, weighs 108 pounds, and has brown eyes and wavy blonde hair. If you have any information at all regarding the whereabouts of Hope Christianson, please contact the Desert Valley Sheriff's Office. This is Rebecca Mills, TV 11 News.
We need this pretty face. Both don't need your ribs. You don't break this kennel.
some of the things that girls have told me is that, you know, they've been abused with a phone book and hit in the head. They've been, you know, abused in different ways that won't leave marks. So you can't tell. So there's no way to see where those injuries are occurring. And that's what they want. They don't want their property damaged. So I think that's, to me, that's one of the more disturbing things about the whole situation, because these girls literally are treated like property, more like a, you know, livestock than you would think of as a human being.
Every day of my life felt like confinement. I couldn't make any move without him knowing. I wasn't allowed to call people without him knowing. I couldn't spend money without him knowing. He controlled every aspect of my life, what I wore, when I ate. Oftentimes I wouldn't be allowed to eat until I performed the sexual acts that he was asking of me.
Hope, I'm here to save you.
What's my name? You know me. What is my name? Why did you try to run? You tell me what my name is.
I don't know.
My name is Fear. Don't run away again. Do you understand?
Yes, we'll stay.
Good.
I came to a place where I felt disgusting. I felt unworthy, that everything that I had done, nobody would ever be able to see me the same. I didn't feel like I could even love myself, and I knew that if I couldn't love myself, that nobody else could love me either.
Is the shame and the guilt worse than the trauma?
Absolutely. The shame and guilt, I think, is the hardest thing to get over. It's so hard to come out and forgive yourself for the things that you've done.
Clean yourself up.
Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. God, if you do exist, please, I want to go home. Take me home.
Let's go.
A large majority, over 50% of our criminal prosecutions result from tips from the public. And people don't understand that. I don't think they truly understand the amount of criminal activity that is thwarted based on people's assistance. And we rely on the public to give us information. Otherwise, a lot of crimes would go completely unsolved. So, and sex trafficking is no different than any other crime. It's a crime. And in order for us to make successful prosecutions from those crimes, we need help from the community. I think a lot of people have this misguided view that sex crimes are victimless crimes. They're really not, especially the most vulnerable of our society, the young kids, the ones that are being trafficked. And it's a horrible situation that I would like to see remedied for sure.
on the ground. Get on the ground. Put your hands up and face down on the ground.
So the moment I knew I needed to leave was, when I was begging for him to take my life. I would purposely do things to get him to beat me up or, hoping that it would be the last time. I ran for months trying to escape him when I knew it was just, he was a coward and he wasn't going to actually pull the trigger. And that's when I decided that I would do it myself. And I put a gun to my head and I pulled the trigger and it backfired. And he tackled me and the gun went off, and being in a hotel room, cops come instantly. I explained my story to the cops and I told them what was happening and how I had been running, and this cop was super amazing. He decided to take me to a detox center instead of taking me to jail. And from there I found the Phoenix Dream Center.
I got really inspired because they started a Dream Center about 14 years ago, and the whole premise of the Dream Center was to go out into the community and go after the people that nobody's looking for and bring them in and help them to inspire to dream again and to build back a better life. And it really inspired me because that's really what we're called to do. We're really called to love people and to believe in them when they can't believe in themselves.
The human trafficking program at the Dream Center is focused on young men and young women between the ages of 18 and 24 who are victims of sexual exploitation through human trafficking. The Dream Center also will serve young men and women who are over than 24. It just depends on the situation that the young man or woman is in. Streetlight USA serves teen girls between the ages of 13 and 17 who are victims of sexual exploitation through human trafficking.
The heinous scourge of human trafficking of young men and women, and even children in society today, is a tragic, tragic situation. And as a result of that, that must be cleansed from our society in one way or another. And when you think that only 1 out of 100 ever get rescued and restored to a normal lifestyle, it indeed is a great cause.
When you go down there and you see people begin to dream again and write resumes and learn how to rebuild their life and dream about going to college and just pulling them out of the trenches, I think that we are called to go into the trenches and to pull people out of the pit and to say, hey, you can do it. I believe in you. And when we do that, when we believe in somebody when they don't believe in themselves, I will give to a cause all day long that is about life change and rebuilding broken lives. That inspires me, that challenges me to want to see the good in people.
The first time I visited the Dream Center, they showed me the rooms that they had developed for these young men or women. And I was really impressed with the strategy of why these rooms were done the way they were. They were the result of a competition of designers, actually, to be able to create environments that bring peace and rest to somebody who's gone through a tremendous amount of trauma. And they discovered that since this was an Embassy Suites that was converted into an organization that could help particularly the sex trafficking victims, they found that these rooms looked like hotels, which was the environment that they had been abused. And so it became a trigger as opposed to a help. And so by creating these beautiful rooms with incredible materials and colors and themes, it took them away from that trigger and gave them an environment they'd never been in before. And it actually became part of the psychological process that helped them become restored into a whole, healthy life.
Years ago, there was a young woman who had gone to a therapy session with her counselor. She came back to the Dream Center, she walked through the door, sat down in front of me and just started weeping and crying. One of the staff came behind her, placed her hands on her shoulders and said, "Tell us what you remember." During the therapy session, this young woman had a memory of being sold at 3 years old by her father to a man. This was a memory that she didn't have until she went to this counseling session. She was completely broken. She said things like, "How could he do this to me? Why would he do this to me?" And in that moment, there was nothing that I could say. There was nothing I could do except for sit with her in her pain and be with her. And so we sat, we prayed, and when that moment was over, she got up and surprisingly, she had a peace. She had a peace all around her, within her, and a determination to move forward. And that young woman went on, she got her GED, she went to college, she got her associate's degree, and she is working today. This is a young woman who, by everything that you would see and by everything that you would hear about her story, had no hope, had no future. When we talk about victimization at 3, 4, 5 years old, it is very, very challenging for those young kids to recover, but this young woman has. And you know, I always tell people that the girls will likely have a lifelong struggle, but they absolutely can overcome, and this young woman did.
Well, one of the things that actually covers most of their programs is the fact that they have a 97% success rate for those who go through their program for 1 year. And that success rate is actually measured a year after they leave the Dream Center. So we know that their programs are psychologically, emotionally, and even spiritually very, very successful, far more successful than other programs that we know of.
When we see someone walk through healing, it's healing in every area. It's healing mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And a lot of the women that come into the Dream Center, 30% in fact, have children of their own, or they come in pregnant. And so they have a whole other life to think about. That is a big motivator for these young women to succeed. And so the staff at the Dream Center, they rally around the girls. The girls that come in and the young men feel physically safe. They feel emotionally safe. And so they truly believe that they can do anything for the first time. They believe that the dreams that they had when they were 5, they believe that they can achieve them. And the staff here come alongside of them. And for the first time, these young men and young women have a family at the Dream Center that is whole, that is nurturing. And that is one thing that I will say about the Dream Center, the culture that we have here, is we're a family. We will walk alongside any man, any woman, any child, so they can walk into their future successful. You know, sometimes our girls or our young men leave, they go back out, we accept them back. We accept them with open arms. We love them where they're at. We don't judge them. We believe that they can be successful and that they can walk into their future. And so the healing journey for our survivors is a long one, but they do heal.
I would say I still had the paranoid mind, and still, had that untrustworthiness. But I think the moment for me that I really realized that I could trust my leaders here was when, one day I seen my trafficker's car, or I thought I seen his car, and I ran straight to my leader and was bawling my eyes out, and I'm like, he's here, he's here. And so, instantly she took a picture, down to security, made sure that he couldn't come through the doors, and switched me rooms, made sure that I was safe, and that gave me such a sense of relief and safety, and just knowing that all throughout my story that they were protecting every side of me, even just as far as my parents, they wouldn't give out information to them. And so just knowing that I was secure here, knowing that nobody could come and just find me or come up to my room, and I could lock my room at night, and just having them show me God's love was the biggest part of it for me.
The Dream Center has a really big need for mentors. When people come to our program, they come with the clothes that are on their back. They don't have anything. They don't have an education a lot of times. They don't have any family. They don't have anybody to surround them. And we need people to come down to the Dream Center and mentor them. Tell them, this is how you write a resume. This is how you apply for college. When the girls come through our human trafficking program, they don't even know what they want as far as a hairstyle. They can't make any decisions because their pimps have made the decisions for them. They don't know what kind of hair color they would like, what kind of hairstyle they would like. They don't know how to dress. They don't know about skincare. They don't know how to groom themselves. We need men and women to come down and pour into their lives, teach them a life skill, teach them how valuable they are, and love them and pour into them and show them, hey, if this is your dream, I can help you get there.
For me, my future now looks like, and I know it sounds cliche, but it honestly looks like wherever God places me. And He's just done amazing things in my life. In 3 years, I have worked at Streetlight USA with teenagers, and then I transitioned into working with Devereaux Advanced Behavioral Health and working with teenagers all over the state. And I'm now the programs director at the Phoenix Dream Center. And so my future for me is to just spread awareness, is to help parents understand what it looks like when their child is being groomed, and to help break the stigma of trafficking and help people feel welcome and understood and not ashamed of themselves.
I'm so sorry we don't have a room for you right now, but if you take this, you can find another option in there.
There are more victims of human trafficking than we have beds. And so our goal is to expand. We need to expand the human trafficking program so we can serve more victims. And whether that is here at this campus or at a new campus, expansion is key to serving these young women and these young men. I mean, we get calls all the time from across the country, Texas, Utah, Florida, victims who are in need of help, desperate mothers, desperate fathers who have found out that their child is being trafficked and they need the help. But You know, we're out of space. So the goal, the next goal for the Phoenix Dream Center and for Streetlight is expanding and creating more beds. I mentioned the collaborative. We have a really good relationship with Mercy Care, and their human trafficking coordinator every week says that there is absolutely nowhere for these kids to go, nowhere. They identified over 200 children over the last couple of years that are victims of human trafficking. And Streetlight USA is the only program in the Phoenix metropolitan area that is dedicated specifically to trafficking. And if we don't have a bed, these kids don't have anywhere to go. So we've got to expand. We've got to create more beds and more space and expand our programs so we can meet the need of these kids in the community. So that's what's on the horizon.
If someone is hesitant to give to the Dream Center, all they have to do is to visit the Dream Center. Take a tour. Talk to the leadership, who many of them, by the way, have come through the program and have restored their lives, and now they have a passion to help those who are walking the same path that they did. And when you hear their story, you won't be hesitant to give to the Dream Center.
The Sons have been a part of building onto the Dream Center. The Phoenix Children's Hospital has been a part of building onto the Dream Center. These are big, important people in our community, and they came down and took a tour, and they began to see what we were all about. And I would say, if you're hesitant to give, you know, what better legacy could you leave than, you know, we can all make money and have nice cars and beautiful homes and take elaborate vacations, but is that ever really going to fill a void in your heart, knowing that you could have impacted somebody's life? I want to know that my hard work and my money is going to invest in somebody's life that nobody's looking for. So I would say to anybody that's hesitant, take a tour, go down there, see what we're all about. Look at the quality assurance reports that say we have a 97% success rate. Do your homework. Go down there. But I promise you, you will be inspired and you will be changed by what you see, because the people down there that are rebuilding their lives, they pour into you. When you go down there, they love on you. They thank you. They're happy. They're full of joy, even in the midst of building back their broken life. And that's what life change is all about. That's what believing in somebody that can't believe in themselves is all about. And that is an investment that I believe that you will never say that was wasted money. I believe that's an investment that you will say, I'm leaving a legacy, I'm making a difference, and it will change you as much as it changes them.
If you could say one thing to the survivors that are going through the program right now, or the ones that are about to go through the program, or maybe the ones who don't know if they want to go through the program yet, what would you say to them?
I would say you're worth it. I would say fight for yourself, get your fight back. Don't give up on you. Everything that you have been told about yourself is not true. What God says of you is true. It's going to be hard, but we're here for you.